Hello and welcome back to BS Rugby, and it's that time of the week again when we look forward to the United Rugby Championship. There's some great fixtures this weekend, so here's my preview and predictions for this week. This week, I'm joined by Nigel Quigley, co-host of the Ulster Rugby Roundup show on the fantastic 3BOD Rugby group. As always, before we get into the predictions, make sure to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Leave a like on this video and, of course, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to get your predictions in the comments as you could feature on Sunday night's review show. Let's start off then with Friday night, which sees the Sharks take on the Bulls down at Johnson Kings Park Stadium. What a game this is set to be. Now, last time out, these teams, of course, haven't played for a while. So last time out, the Sharks played against Cardiff Rugby, with Cardiff winning this one by 23 points to 17, while the Bulls faced Edinburgh and lost this one by 17 points to 10. It's been a tough start for both teams, but they do have their stars back. As you can see from here, the likes of Lukanyuam is back. The likes of Sia Khaleesi is back for the Sharks. If we take a look at the Bulls team, this is your Bulls team that will take to the pitch. The likes of Marcel Coetzee is a fantastic player, isn't he? David Creel, once again, has been away with the Springboks this autumn, and he is back in the team. For both sides, it's a big game, isn't it? It's an opportunity to play at home, to play against a team that they will be fairly familiar with, and it's an opportunity to do something for sure. For me, though, there's only one team who's going to win this. I think the Sharks have shown more over the course of the season, and I think the additions of the likes of Lukanyuam and Sia Khaleesi will have a big impact. I'm going to back the Sharks to win this one by 10 plus points, but what does Nigel have to say on this one?
Look, none of the sides, including the Sharks, have been set the league on fire. I think there was an expectation by some South African fans that, probably from hype from other leagues, frankly, that the Pro 14 was not up to standard, etc., etc. As fans of it for years, we knew the standard was high in the Pro 14. Yes, there's a gap from top to bottom, but show me a league where that doesn't exist. Not been great, but they've shown, I think there might have been a fitness issue, because they showed in some games that they could dominate for a while. I think at home they're always going to be a different animal. I'm actually looking forward to this game tomorrow night with the Sharks and the Bulls, because the Sharks particularly have loaded up big time with internationals. I think that's going to be a good one. So I don't think we can read too much into the South African sides so far. 4 weeks into a new league for them. And let's not get too cocky about it, because I think down the road they're going to become more competitive. It's probably not going to be their season this season, but next season after, they're going to be in the mix, I think. Do you know, we know the Bulls are probably deemed the top team in South Africa, and I accept that. And at the end of the day, I don't have the knowledge of the South African sides I would have of Pro 14 sides or the Northern Hemisphere sides. But when I look at the two lineups, I think Sharks will squeak this one.
The next game on the Friday night sees Edinburgh take on Benetton down at the Dam Health Stadium. Kickoff is at 25:08 local time. Now, last week, Edinburgh played a fantastic game, beating the Dragons at Rodney Parade by 30 points to 14 and played some exquisite rugby. But Benetton also come into this game on the back of a victory, a really dramatic last-minute kick of the game against Glasgow, winning that one by 19 points to 18. And although they didn't play that well, they stuck in the game, they stayed in the game, and they took their opportunities when they got it. Now, they've already faced each other this season already, and it was actually a really dramatic win for Benetton as they won that one by 28 points to 27. A last-minute drop goal was enough to win this game. Now, both sides have announced their teams for this week, so let's take a look at Edinburgh's side. This is how they line up. As you can see, going from the fullback, we have Buffelli with Darcy Graham, and we have Hoyland on the wings. In the centres, we have Curry and James Lang. Kinghorn stays at 10 with Ben Velicott at 9. In the front row, you've got Venter, Cherry and WP Nell with Hodgson and Grant Gilchrist. And you have Marcus Bradbury, Viliame Mata and Hamish Watson as well. So a few internationals back for Edinburgh. Benetton's team looks like this. Starting at fullback, Rhino Smith is at fullback with Tavuara playing on the wings alongside Monte Ioane. Tommaso Menoncello plays in the centre alongside Nacho Brex, with Leonardo Marin and Dewald Duvenage playing at 9. In the front row, you got Federico Zani and Haim Fiver, with Tiziano Pasquale as well. Nicolo Canone and Federico Ruzza are the lock partnerships with Giovanni Pettinelli, Michel Lamaro, and Toa Halafi playing in the back row. Now, this is going to be a big game. It's an important game, I feel, for both sides. They're coming off good wins. Benetton have struggled away from home this season, but I think for Edinburgh, they're certainly going to target this game as a comfortable win. I think the way they like to play, they like to throw the ball about, but they're going to have to be cautious of the threats of likes of Monty Ioane for this Benetton side. But for me, I can only see a home win for Edinburgh. I'm going to back the home side to win this one. I'm going to say by 15 plus points. Let's see what Nigel has to say on this game.
Edinburgh are thereabouts. They're not far away from the top of the table. Well, that speaks for itself. If I'm not mistaken, they've got quite a lot of internationals to come back this weekend as well. Very, very, very strong at home this weekend. Now, that's going to be a tough one for Benetton, I think, who have been, by the way, quite impressive at the start of this season. But I think just with the players that Edinburgh have got coming back and the quality of the players in comparison, if you like, well, we'll go to it. I mean, that's a home win for me, I think.
Third and final game of the Friday night is an Irish derby. Kick-off at 8:45 down at the RDS Arena. It's Leinster taking on Connacht. And of course, last week, Leinster lost for the first time this season, losing at home to Ulster 20 points to 10, while Connacht went and put over 40 points, on the Ospreys, winning this one by 46 points to 18 in horrific conditions down in Galway. Now, last season, of course, they faced each other twice, and it's quite interesting reading of results. Down at the RDS, it was a win for Connacht last season in January 2021, winning that one by 35 points to 24. But then at the sports ground, Leinster got their revenge, winning this one by 50 points to 21 in May 2021. So it's an interesting one, isn't it? We know that Leinster are a hurting animal, they're a wounded animal, they're going to want to respond. Connacht played some excellent stuff against the Ospreys, beat Ulster last time out before that, so they're on a good run of form. Let's have a look at the teams. They've both been announced. Starting with the fullback, Hugo Keenan's at fullback with Jordan Larmour and Gary Ringrose. In the centre there, Robbie Henshaw as well in the centre with James Lowe back in, of course, after Ireland duty. Harvey Byrne plays at 10 with Luke McGrath at 9, so still no Johnny Sexton. Cian Healy, Dan Sheehan and Michael Alalatoa play in the front row, with then in the locks, Ryan Baird and Devin Toner, Rhys Ruddock, Josh Van der Fleer and Caelan Doris in the back row. For Connacht, this is how they line up. Owen McNulty plays at fullback with Alex Wooten, Sam Arnold, Peter Robb in the centre, Mac Hansen on the wing. Jack Carty is 10 and captain for this one, with Kieran Marmion at 9. In the front row, we have Matthew Burke, Dave Heffernan and Finlay Beelum. Oisin Dowling and Ultan Dillon play in the locks, with Ewan Masterson, Connor Oliver and Jared Butler playing in the back row. It's going to be fascinating to see how this one goes, but are Leinster going to lose 2 on the bounce? I just can't see it happening, especially at home. I think their physicality is going to be enough for this game. Connacht are going to look to spread the ball out wide, but will Leinster allow them to do that? I'm not too sure. I'm going to back Leinster to win this one by 10 plus points, but let's have a look and see what Nigel has to say on this one.
I think Leinster, they did try to play the usual game. They made quite a few errors, but, you know, I see a lot of people slagging their team when they lose. Oh, we made a lot of errors. And then when you sometimes talk to the same people, they go, we forced the errors. And I think Ulster forced a lot of errors and they couldn't find a lot of space. And I think then teams start to make mistakes because they start to throw the ball a bit wide. And they looked a bit shaken. And I haven't seen that in the Leinster team for some time. It reminded me a little bit of Ireland against the All Blacks. Conditions were typical Galway winter evening. It was horrendous. I mean,
summertime down in Galway.
Sheets of rain and wind. And it's just Galway. And they're so used to that. I think they'll try and do to Leinster what they tried to do to Ulster. The difference is I don't think Leinster will let them do it. I think Leinster will respond to it. And that's a little bit more savvy. Plus, they'll have looked at that game and they'll have seen what Connacht did. And it was quite simple, but it was so effective. Ulster didn't respond. They will respond because I just don't see Leinster losing 2 in a row at home. But I think it's going to be close. I think we're talking a score here. So under 7.
The first game on the Saturday is a 3 o'clock kickoff down at the Swansea.com stadium. It is Ospreys, my team, taking on Ulster. And because it's going to be a great game, I believe so, we're going to do a watch along live on the channel here. Coverage starts at 3:45 with kickoff at 3 o'clock. There's a link in the description and in the comments as well. Hit that link and hit the reminder to be notified of when we go live. I'm going to be joined by a good friend of mine, Stephen Somerville, who is an Ulster fan. So join me live for that one. As we've already mentioned, last week's result for the Ospreys simply wasn't good enough, and losing at Connacht 46 points to 18. Well, as we just mentioned as well, Ulster beating Leinster. What a performance that was for them. Now, of course, they did face each other last season and 2 wins for Ulster. The first one was a 21-7 win out in the Kingspan, while the other result then was Ospreys 12, Ulster 24. So you can see that Ulster have the recent dominance in this fixture, and it's very contrasting styles. Ospreys are very much more of a physical side. Ulster will look to play a little bit more. Let's have a look at the teams that have both been announced. This is how Ospreys line up for this week's fixture. Starting with the fullback, Dan Evans starts at fullback with Alex Cuthbert coming back in after his Wales role. Luke Morgan is on the wing with Owen Watkin and Michael Collins in the centre. Stephen Myler at 10, Rhys Webb at 9, and captain, of course, Gareth Thomas, Sam Parry and Thomas Francis are the front row, with Rhys Davis and Bradley Davis in the locks. Will Griffiths, Jack Morgan and Morgan Morris play in the back row. We have a look at Ulster. They've also announced their team. This is how they line up for this game. Mike Lowry plays at fullback with Robert Balakoon and Ethan McElroy on the wings. Angus Curtis and Stuart McCluskey are in the centre, with Billy Burns and John Cooney playing at the halfbacks. In the front row, we have Eric O'Sullivan, Bradley Roberts and Tom O'Toole, with Kieran Treadwell and Alan O'Connor in the centres. O'Connor is captain. Sean Reedy, Nick Timoney and David McCann are the back row. It's going to be a fascinating game, isn't it? Look, it's very contrasting styles, as I've already said, and I'm very much looking forward to this one. My head says something and my heart says something. My heart says an Ospreys win, my head says Ulster. I think for Ospreys, we need to keep it tight. We need to make it about the physical game, kick our points to the likes of Myler throughout the game. Ulster going to look to spread the ball a little bit, but they showed last week that they were able to be physical and able to adapt their game to the situation that they were in. I've got to back Ospreys. I'm an Ospreys fan. I'm going to back Ospreys to win by 3+ points. But Nigel, being an Ulster fan, I'm not too sure if he's going to agree with me. Let's see what he's got to say on this one.
It was one performance, and I'm going to actually say something that may not seem positive at all. I'm more concerned about the points Ulster left out there last weekend. There was times they were battering Leinster's line, and you're thinking, throw it out. Let's have somebody come on at pace. It certainly was a performance to build on, though, because their attack was really good against one of the best defences in the league. Their pack were really good. The line out was really good. The scrums, the rucks and mauls were fantastic. They actually mauled well. There's a lot more they can do. And they've said that themselves, in fact, that there are areas of the game they need to improve. And I think it's the points they didn't take last week that may disappoint them slightly. But they've got to build on that performance. Organised, bit up and down, and I think to some teams, possibly a touch predictable. I don't think there's enough flair there. I think they need to the Irish sides for doing this, been too predictable in how they play and attack. I think Ospreys sometimes are a bit that way as well. They're doing okay, but you feel there's more there and I don't know if it's a coaching issue or a player issue, but you look at the side and you go, there should be more there. There should be more in that team. I don't think it's going to be a huge scoreline again. I think it'll be within 10 points.
The second game starts at 3 o'clock on the Saturday here in the UK. It's 3 o'clock kickoff time, but out in South Africa, it's 5 o'clock kickoff time. It is the Stormers against the Lions. Now, neither of these sides have played for a few weeks. Last time out, the Stormers played against the Dragons at Rodney Parade, winning that one by 24 points to 10. In fact, they've not started a game or played a game since mid-October, so it's been a while for them. The Lions have had a really tough season. The last time out, they played against Ulster at the Kingspan, losing by 26 points to 12. This game, of course, will take place down at the DHL Stadium. Both teams have announced their squads. Let's take a look at them now. This is how the home side line up. Starting then with the fullback, Warwick Gallant plays out fullback with Sergio Peterson and Sibalo Senati playing on the wings. In the centre then, you've got Ruan Nel and Dan Duplessis, with the fly half being Manye Libok and the 9 being Stefan Ungerer. In the front row, we have Brock Harris, Scaran Tubeni and Neithling Fouche, with Salman Moret and Marvin Ure playing in the locks. Junior Pocamella alongside Willie Engelbrecht is in the back row alongside Evan Ross. The Lions have also announced their team. This is how they line up for this game. Starting with the fullback, they've got E.W. Viljoen at fullback with Edouard van der Merwe alongside Rabs McSwane on the wings. Wandisile Simalain and Birger Odendaal playing the centre. Odendaal is the captain, with Fred Zillinger and Andre Varner are the halfbacks. In the front row, we have Steve Sittol alongside Jaco Visage and Kulo Sadi. Ruben Schumann and Renard Northnagel play in the locks, with Jaco Creel, Vincent Schutzke and Frank Horn playing in the back row. Now, I don't think it's any secret to say that these two sides have really struggled in the competition so far, especially the Lions. And for that reason, I have to back the Stormers, especially at home as well. But I do think we'll see much better performances from the South African sides this week. I really do think we will. Because they're at home, again, they've got their internationals back. I think that'll make a massive difference. But I do think the Stormers going to win this one, to say by 10 plus points. Let's see what Nigel has to say on this one.
It is a battle of the lesser two. In the back of my head, I think the Stormers are the ones that look stronger here. And I would say they'll be looking for a win this weekend and will probably get it. So I'm going to go for, and it's a bit of a grab in the air, I'm going to go for a 10.
And so the final game of the weekend then sees the Dragons travel up to Scotstoun to take on Glasgow. This is a Saturday night kickoff, 25-8 local time. Now, last week is defeats for both sides. The Dragons last week losing against Edinburgh and losing very poorly in fact, but Glasgow also losing it right in the last minute with a last minute penalty, losing that one by 19 points to 18. Now, the last time they faced was actually down at the Principality back in March, right to the end of the season. And it was a win for the Dragons. The Dragons winning this one by 26 points to 17. And in fact, the Dragons have done the double over Glasgow last season, winning up in Scotstoun last season, 23 points to 22, around about a year ago. Now, both teams have announced their squads and there are some internationals back. This is how the home side line up for this one. Starting with fullback, Josh McKay plays at fullback with Sebastian Saint-Cylier playing on the wing alongside Cole Forbes. Sione Tupelotu comes back in with Kyle Steyn as well in the centre. Ross Thompson stays at 9 and Ali Price comes back from his Scotland duty. In the front row, we have Ollie Kebble, George Turner and Xander Fagerson. Rob Harley and Richie Gray are the lock partnership, with Ryan Wilson as captain at 6, alongside Rory Darge and Jack Dempsey. Let's have a look at the Dragons team. They have also announced their squad. This is how they line up for this one, starting with the fullback. Jordan Williams starts out fullback with Jonah Holmes and Rio Dyer on the wings, and Nathan Owen and Jamie Roberts are in the centre, with Sam Davis and Dan Babos playing at 9. In the front row, we have Aki Sayuli alongside Ellis Shipp and Leon Brown. Will Rowlands and Joe Maximu are in the locks, with Harrison Keddy as captain at 6, Ollie Griffiths and Aaron Wainwright. Now, for me, this is going to be an interesting one. Both teams have struggled this season to really get that momentum, to get that fluidity going, haven't they? Glasgow have done real nice bits in places, have got some good wins against the Sharks at home, have got some good wins away as well. But for them, there just hasn't been that continuation. There hasn't been that flow, that rhythm to their game. And hopefully, with their big internationals coming back, it will make a difference. For the Dragons, discipline has been the biggest issue for them all season, conceding 18 penalties against Edinburgh last week. You're never going to win a game with that kind of pressure on you. But the back row of the Dragons, I think, gives them hope this week. With the likes of Ollie Griffiths and Aaron Wainwright in that back row, I think it could be quite an interesting game. Keep an eye on Rio Dyer, fantastic winger, really, really quick. Jordan Williams at fullback can create something out of nothing. And Jamie Roberts is always a good option on that line. But I have to back the home side. I do think Glasgow are going to get the win in this one. Although I'm wearing a Dragons shirt today, I do think Glasgow are going to get the win. I'm going to back Glasgow to win this one by 5+ points. Let's see what Nigel has to say.
Very strange. Watched them in the first game in the Kingspan, and they put it up to Ulster. And okay, it was the first game and everybody's rusty and nobody's got a lot of games under their belt. But I actually looked at them and thought, this Glasgow team are going to be something different this season. But you're absolutely right. They've absolutely ground to a halt in some games. I was actually really surprised at that one last week. And Benetton looked the better side. I know it was only won by the last kick of the game, but they never looked like they were capable of putting Benetton away. And they're traditionally hard to beat at home, I think. It's a really hard one to call. This one's really hard to call, I think. Not really, and I don't know his personnel, because I actually quite like Dean Ryan as a coach. I just like the way he presents himself and the way he talks about the game. A fantastic game, and the next week be abjectly awful. So it's trying to get that mid, you know, even get them to a consistency that's somewhere in between. They're going to be in a better place. I'm going to go 3 to 5 points for Glasgow, purely because they're home. That's the only reason.
So there we go. Thank you very much to Nigel for his thoughts on all the games. As always, if you have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know your predictions in the comments down below to feature on our review show on Sunday night. Don't forget to join me tomorrow for this one, Ospreys against Ulster, live watch along here on the channel. Coverage starts at 2:45 with kickoff at 3 p.m. Link in the description down below, and I'm sure there'll be one in the comments as well. Hit the reminder so you'll be notified when we go live. Thank you very much for watching it. Enjoy the rugby over the weekend. There's so much to watch, and I'll see you soon here on BS Rugby. Take it easy